are listening to all Burgundy and Gold Everything with the urban sports scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Howell, Virginia, Wole, Will, and Glenn are your hosts. Ray and Mo are out. Man, it's a blessing. I got the homie Will T on the show. If y'all don't know, he is the urban sports scene. Our three-man weave show. You know what I'm saying? He is, Mr. Mr. He has a cult-like following. So he does have the cult-like following in terms of the urban sports scene. What's good? What's good, Will T? And welcome to all Burgundy and Gold Everrrything, my man.
Everything's good, man. Just got finished watching a pretty exciting football game. Came down to the last couple of seconds. And I'm honored to be here for the first time on the post-game show. So, man, it's a pleasure.
It's a blessing, bro. We got the homie. And you can find this show on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia's Facebook and YouTube page, and on Twitter at Fox at 1340 AM Fox Sports. You can also check us out on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Check us out at Urban Sports Scene and also on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. But Let's get right to it. The Washington football team beat the Seattle Seahawks 17-15. A wild game, man. A low-scoring game, ball control game. But Will T, I'm gonna start with you, my man. Your thoughts on the game?
Like you said, it was a low-scoring game, ball control game. I think Washington doubled Seattle in the time of possession. But usually when these low-scoring, typically defensive games, you don't see a lot of exciting plays. This game, you actually saw some exciting plays. It came down to that last interception on a 2-point conversion by Fuller. You also had a block kick that was returned for 2 points by Seattle. You had the tip interception by Jamal Adams, and then you also had J.D. McKissick with those two exciting, one screen pass and one exciting run. And then you also had Antonio Gibson, which I feel a guy who I've always harped on being a key for this offense. This was kind of his coming out game, right? 25 plus carries, 100 yards, I believe like 40 plus receiving yards. So this was a phenomenal game, even though it was low scoring defensive effort on both sides.
So Glenn, what were your thoughts on this game?
Good game defensively for the Washington football team. Good game offensively. It's always a good game when you get a 100-yard rusher. And I've been saying it for weeks. If they run the football and control the clock, they can win games and keep teams in check. And that's what happened tonight. They were able to keep Russell Wilson off the field. The Washington football team had 41 minutes of the ball. 41 minutes of the ball control. Seattle had 18 minutes. Again, that defense, I say it and y'all keep harp on it. That defense looked much better without Chase Young on the field. That front four is that much better because those guys, again, have to be technically sound. They're not worried about him freelancing. They know their assignment and they're playing football. And not only that, you see guys like Landon Collins, that secondary gets to be able to come that much better while he's not there. And it is what it is. I mean, everybody likes him because he's a big name, but he's also a liability.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I feel like this has forced the defensive staff, Del Rio, to coach it up a little differently. I think sometimes when you do have talented guys like a Montez Sweat and a Chase Young, you tend to just try to rely on those individuals, but you see more. I like to say you see more things that you saw that what Ron Vera did in Carolina. You see the linebackers blitzing up the A-gap in Landon Collins and also Holcomb. Like they're seeing a lot of pressure in terms of going up the middle rather than just coming from the outside. So I mean, they're definitely playing better defensive football since the injuries have occurred. But I think there's a lot of things that play a factor into that. But I'm gonna give credit to Scott Turner. I think Scott Turner has done well over the last some odd weeks in terms of creating an identity for this football team offensively. We're in an era of football where everybody wants a team to score 30 some odd points, air it out for like 400 yards of passing. But Scott Turner has found his niche right now, just playing the ball control game. And it is what it is. This team has controlled the time of possession. They have control. They haven't been going after the explosive games. Taylor Heineke has been more of a manager. So I think he's found his groove. And my brother Al, what's up, Al, said Landon Collins looks good, and he was looking good. You saw in that one of the last plays where they put in DeShazier Everett in the game, and he gave up that touchdown pass to make it 17-15. Landon Collins in the game. We don't know if that happens, but again, this team has definitely changed up after the bye week. Things have happened. I think, again, for me, the most important thing is the identity change. We'll see. What are some of your 3 positives coming out of this game?
One, a change in style of how you play football offensively. You're more reliant on the run game, not making Taylor Heineke, getting him in situations in 3rd and long where he has to, he's good with creating plays after they break down, but you aren't putting him in a position to do that too often. 2, the play of Landon Collins more in the box, right? Since the departure of Montrezl Sweat and Chase Young via the injuries 2 or 3 weeks ago, Landon Collins has been playing a lot more in the box, and he's been blitzing. He's been far more effective, right? And then the third thing, having Logan Thomas back is a guy who can control inside the numbers. And he condenses whenever you try to play zone, he condenses that zone because he's so tall and he's so talented as a pass catching tight end.
So, Glenn, what are your 3 positives of this game?
J.D. McKissic is the truth. The offense is much different with J.D. McKissic on the field. I look at it this way: if J.D. McKissic was on that field in the last drive, Washington would have scored a little bit earlier. I think J.D. McKissic is explosive. He wasn't on the field during that situation, so they had to rely on other people at that time. Another takeaway from this game is that young guys like Jamison Davis, Cam Curl would play a good game in defense on the defense side of the ball. It was good to see the young guys step up a little bit in some key situations and play some meaningful football. All of it's meaningful, but seeing them guys play. And the third thing is this: that Tyler Heineke can manage a football game. He is able to manage. You can see some smart plays when he went to his check down. He knows how to keep it alive. And you want a quarterback like that who's able to keep it alive and to make smart decisions and not force things. And I think tonight he did a very good job, was effective and efficient with the football. We saw a lot of check downs to running backs into tight ends, not too much down the field. You had Scary Terry only had like 51 yards receiving. So he kept things within the realm of what they do and with his arm strength. So those are 3 positive takeaways. J.D. McKissic, Heineke being able to control the ball, and young guys on defense stepping up.
Yeah, for me, I thought, you all mentioned great picks for the 3 positives. For me, the interior with Payne and Payne and Allen, I thought they brought a lot of pressure to Russell up the middle, especially in those drives where you thought Russ was going to try to lead this team to score earlier, and they had a bunch of 3 and outs. And I thought those 2 individuals really brought a lot of pressure to Russ. Gibson credit. I think Gibson pretty much ran with toughness. To Will's point, he has been a highlighted player down the stretch, but just the way he's been running, especially last game and this game today. Other than going out of bounds again, he has to stop doing that. You're trying to end the game. You can't be going out of bounds. But playing that role. And also, you mentioned like a young boy like Jamin Davis. I saw Jamin Davis make a lot of plays out there. It's a kid that was much maligned out here about he's not catching up on things, and he's been like a bust or this, that, and the other. You hear all this noise about the kid, but once he's gotten more opportunity to play, this kid has become a better football player, and you can see it. So for me, those are the 3 positives I saw out of this game. But for y'all, what were some? Everything ain't perfect. Everything ain't rosy. I'm starting with you, Will. T. What are some of the 3? Give me 3 negatives that you saw from this football team against the Seattle Seahawks.
3 negatives. One, well, I can't even really consider it a negative, but you're starting to see the lack of depth along the offensive line. Once I forgot the starting center. Who started center? His name.
You're talking about Schweizer.
Yeah. Once Schweizer went out, Ishmael came in. He did an admirable job, filling in on, coming in at center. But you definitely could tell there was a difference in the level of pass protection on that offensive line. 2, you would like to see Scott Turner. I think Scott Turner called a very good game, but you would like to see. I would like to see him really take the onus to put the ball in his play, make a concerted effort to put the ball in his playmakers' hands more. Meaning Terry McLaurin, meaning J.D. McKissick. I think that there were opportunities in this game that if he called plays specifically for those two individuals, that maybe Washington scores more than 17 points, and it doesn't come down to as close as it did in the last minutes. And the last thing is the 2-minute defense. Right. That's been one of the things that's been a sore spot for this team all year. Once teams get into a hurry up and they get into that 2-minute offense, the opposing offense gets to a 2-minute offense, how they compare against that defensively, they don't seem to hold up. And it seems like this is a reoccurring thing.
No, I agree. Hey, Glenn, give me your 3 negatives.
3 negatives. One's Washington football team special teams, especially the field goal unit, sucks. Right? How many block field goals have we seen? This year? All right, you need to fix that. That one could have cost the game, right? And so the special team. It's not only just the field goal team, but the hands team. We talked about it, off air. You gotta get the ball. Whether your job is to attack or not, you need the football to win the game. That could have cost you the game and the momentum right then and there. Again, this Washington football team got saved by a penalty on a special team yet again. They got saved in the Giants game, and they got saved here. 15 seconds left on the clock. Couldn't nobody tell me that Russell Wilson wasn't going to be able to get them in the field goal range, and the Washington football team was going to lose this game in a matter of seconds, which shouldn't even have that many seconds left on the clock if Antonio Gibson runs out of bounds. That becomes football awareness because he went out of bounds with 2:25 on the clock. Stay in bounds, and it takes it down. Stay in bounds, and it takes it down to the 2-minute warning. Right, and then you get Russell Wilson, and they get the ball with 1 minute and some seconds left. It changes the game plan of the game. So just clock management, clock awareness. Again, they won this game. The Washington football team was still 50% inside the red zone. You cannot win that way. Their first drive stalled. They was driving down the field, got into the red zone, and it stalled. You got to be able to put it in. I understand why the second one stalled, went to instant replay, didn't have a field goal kicker. I definitely understand that. McKissick was hurt, so understand. But again, they still, the first drive of the game, they went down the field. And the red zone 50% have to be better in the red zone 50%. So those are my 3 things. Special teams, the red zone, and also making sure that you have clock awareness at the end of the game when you're trying to run the clock out. Knowing when to get out, knowing when to go down. It reminds me of, remember the game last year, I believe it was Alvin Kamara. And Alvin Kamara had a game, and they was running the ball for the Saints.
He went down. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Just slid and went down because he understood clock awareness. Antonio Gibson has to do that because he did it again last week. He did it last week against Carolina.
And
when he went out of bounds, when he should have stayed in bounds and let the clock run. And he did it again this week.
Yeah, just something they're going to have to harp on. Just hopefully he improves in that matter. But for me, it would be missed opportunities to close the game out. Russ wasn't perfect in this game, and you saw about 3 passes that could have been picked off that to me would have closed this game out. You had one from Fuller that he cut. It was right in his hands. Usually Fuller's more of a reliable catcher in terms of the secondary. Then you had Cam Curl had one right off right in his belly that would put them already in the Seahawks territory. And then McCain had one on the bomb play where it ricocheted off of Jackson, and it went right to McCain. You gotta take advantage of that situation when you have, when you see Russ struggling, because you don't want to get when you're playing against greatness, you gotta take advantage of every mistake that they make. So I think that was one mistake. That was one negative. We talked the special teams to me and as a whole. Other than Treshway, special teams as a whole was terrible. Before Sly got hurt, the kick was low. That's why it was blocked. Then he compounded that by trying to really run hard and chase him down. Well, he wasn't going to catch him anyway. I don't know why he's running that hard to chase him down. You know what I mean? Like, it was over, bro. Yeah, I know. He's desperate. It's over, bro. It's over. It got blocked. Let it live and fight another day. Pull the hand. Kickers ain't used to running like that anyway. All right, and then the onside kick, like you mentioned, like the onside. My issue was it wasn't like these on. The first one onside kick was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. That bounce was nasty. Yeah. The second one, it was right at you. You could just attack the ball. That wasn't anything. You waited for that to waited for extra bounce, and that could have been catastrophic. And for you to pretty much miss out on 2 onside kicks back to back is terrible. So that's something they're going to have to practice, almost like the Hail Mary thing that we saw a couple weeks ago. I mean, earlier in the season with the Saints. So that's something they're going to have to practice. And my last thing is just like the third and shorts. Like at that point in time when you can close the game out, there was a bunch of 3rd and 1 where in towards the in the second half where they weren't able to get it. Those are plays you have to get. You know what I'm saying? If you want to close a good team out, you want to show that, all right, I'm being more physical. Like I stated, Ron is trying to build a physical mentality with this whole team, not just his offense, but the whole unit. So he's going to. There's something about their short yardage situations. To your point, Glenn, I think Jay is wild. I thought J.D. McKissick was better in the short yardage situations because he's smaller. He can kind of find and slip and find those holes. But no knock on Gibson. Gibson ran tremendously. I'm not going to even be negative. He ran tremendously. So all right. So Washington, now they're 5-6. Should fans, Will, Tim, start with you. Should fans really start thinking about the division or even postseason?
The division, no. I think that Dallas is clear. Even with the injuries, I think Dallas is just a completely better team than Washington.
Okay.
But I do think there's opportunity for you to, potentially back into the wild card. I believe at 5-6 they are. They do currently hold a wild card spot to get into the playoffs. So I think that look, and there are a couple of teams. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when I looked at the standings midway through the game, there are only 6 teams in the NFC with a winning record.
It's not.
So,
it's only top heavy.
Yeah, it's very top heavy. Yeah. With there being seven playoff spots this year in the NFC and the AFC. This may be another opportunity for you to get in with a below 500 record. If it plays out that way.
I don't think they're gonna be work. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna be below 500. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about what this team's going to do. I'm not going to be one of those folks. Glenn, what are your thoughts, man? What do you think the chance for a division? Should they be talking division? Should they be talking, playoffs? What should fans be talking about right now?
One game at a time.
Okay. Are you a coach? I know you can coach. One game at a time.
They should be talking one game at a time. One game at a time. Win this week. Win next week. See, this Seattle thing is over. Celebrate this for 24 hours. Get ready for the Las Vegas Raiders, right? You get ready for them. You win that one. Okay, now you 500. 500. You're 500. You have 5 games left. Your last 5 games are in your division, right? You right now you want to know. You want to know in the division. Again, one game at a time. And that's what you have to do, because their toughest part of their schedule is the divisional games, because they want to be able to get in, and they're going to have to win. Right now, the reason they're setting in that last playoff spot is because they won games from teams in the conference, right? They won conference games. So now they have to realize they're being battle tested. Now when it comes to divisional play, they need to win. Again, it's one game at a time. I'm Ron Revere. It's one game at a time. Let's celebrate this. Let's go ahead and get this Vegas team out the way. And then we come back and we handle with the Cowboys, with the Giants, and with the Eagles, which they have to play, all those games no matter weeks of each other. So I think this Washington football team is building confidence, maybe to get get healthy with Sweat coming back and those type guys. They just have to be able to be consistent and play. So division right now, no, one game at a time.
Oh yeah, shout out to Shaka Tony too. I forgot the rookie from Penn State. He balled out too. Yeah.
Oh, one more thing I want to add about mistakes with them is penalties in key situations. Penalties in key situations hurt this football team. The one, if they don't get the penalty with the pass interference, they off the football field. The penalty, again, with the holding, or whether it's 4th and 1, offense by Sheriff, don't get the holding call there on Adams. That's that game, set, and match. Ball game's over, right? It's for down 36 yards. And so we have to be able to close out football games. And they got to learn how to close out football games. They did against Tampa. But, again, when you're doing a makeshift line and you're moving people around, everybody got to learn how to have that heart to close out the game.
I mean, did they even show they showed Sierra at all? I didn't see Sierra. She was in the city?
I didn't see her on the broadcast. I mean, that's not something
I didn't see her on the broadcast.
Paid attention to.
I tried. That's terrible, man. That's terrible work. I mean, it's it's wrestling town, Sierra, with the nation capital. You can't show Sierra. Like that's not what we doing. We're not doing that.
I'm sure
I mean, to be honest,
I'm sure a lot of family members came up from Richmond.
yeah, to be honest
Yes,
with
right
you,
too.
I listen to most of the game on mute.
Okay.
I'm just not really interested in hearing the Monday night, the broadcast booth.
Yeah, no.
I would have preferred to hear the Mannings.
I know you said the Mannings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just being honest.
Glenn, you like the Mannings too?
I think they're hilarious, man. I think they're funny, man. They just give you a different perspective because it's just like two regular average people sitting there eating, watching football. So yeah. I think it's hilarious to watch those two guys go at it.
They dope,
when they cursing and throwing up, throwing up middle finger. So
really yeah, I think they're dope too. Yeah, but I'm gonna go back to what we'll talk about the division and whatnot. Like this is my thought process for fans about since this team is now on a 3-game winning streak. Until they beat Vegas and then they beat the Cowboys. If they can beat those two teams, then fans can talk about postseason division talk or not. You know what I mean? That's just my belief. Like that's when I know you're a good team. I don't care about Russ has been struggling regardless. Even though people still go at a lot of folks who picked Seattle to win, they were going off of it's the Seattle Seahawks rather than how they've been playing football. Russ has been struggling, so it's not like you're playing the Seattle Seahawks in their tip top form. Brady, I'll give you beating Brady because I'll give you that. But Carolina, I mean, it's an inconsistent team. Seattle has been this inconsistent team. The Raiders are interesting, obviously, because what they did on Thanksgiving Day. So that is a test in a way, and they do have the NFC East killer at wide receiver in Deshaun Jackson. So every team that he sees from the NFC East, he does go ham, and this team is no different. Deshaun is good. Will.
I will say this about the Raiders. It's a winnable game because if you notice and if you watch the Raiders games over the NFL season, they tend to play to the level of their competition.
They do. Right.
When they Thanksgiving night against Dallas, when they got the win, and then also when they beat Kansas City. Sometimes this is a team that can get up for games. Sometimes this is a team that, if they feel as if the competition is somewhat inferior, they may play down to that level of competition. But it's a very winnable game from the perspective of if you have to make Derek Carr throw the ball 40, 45 times and he doesn't get the assistance that he needs from Kenyon Drake and Jacobs in the run game.
Yeah, definitely. Try and make him one-dimensional. That's what you're talking about. I feel like the only thing that can help Washington out, I mean, not help them out because it is a winnable game. So I do agree with you. But the thing that would make it more winnable, because again, this game is next Sunday. At 4:15, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time start. When we make this game winnable, easier for Washington if Waller is out. I know Waller was out for most of the game against Dallas. He got hurt in that game, so Waller doesn't play. I think you can kind of work around that because Waller's an animal. Like, you can put him up. You can tight end. You can pap him 1, 2, or 3, whatever you want. Whatever, pick your poison. Whatever you want to do with it. He's that scary of a threat. But for you, Glenn, they're playing Vegas. Does this Vegas game scare you? Is this game that you think Washington can easily win? What do you think about this Vegas game?
I'm not going to say easily win, but I do think they can win. I think there's some things they need to address. They need to address a kicker this week because you can't go into Vegas with not having a kicker, right? They need to address that this week. Whether Sly can go, if he can't go, then you need to go ahead and cut him and bring a kicker in.
I know, right?
I'm being honest, right? I'm not trying to be. It is what it is. Hamstring. I'm sorry, he's got to help the team out, but do you want to save a spot for him, or do you need to go get a kicker? So you need to go get a kicker. Is it winnable? Yes. The defense has to continue to do what they've done in the past, which is stop the run game and make these teams one-dimensional. They made Russell. They made the Seattle Seahawks one-dimensional for the most part of today, throwing the football. They could not run the football against the Washington football team. Even Russell Wilson only had 16 yards rushing, right? And those 16, those yards came on the last drive of the game. So can this Washington football team, and we know Derek Carr is not a mobile quarterback like a Russell Wilson. So if they can go ahead and keep him in the pocket, and the secondary who has improved over the last 4 or 5 weeks since the bye, they can continue to do what they did tonight by covering good receivers. They'll be all right. They held Lockett and DK Metcalf in check for the most part of the game. They did, and so If this Washington football team can do that again, I think they can come out and lead. They can leave Vegas with a win.
Definitely, man. Well, Washington football team fans, be excited. Your team is now on a 3-game winning streak. Hopefully, they'll be on a 4-game winning streak. You can subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Search all Burgundy and Gold Everrrything with the Urban Sports Scene. Also, tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Also, hit up Fox Sports at 1340 AM Fox Sports on Twitter. So make sure you check them out and check out the Fox Sports. Check out Fox Sports 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia's Facebook page. Anyway, you've been listening to all Burgundy and Gold Everrrything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia for ages. You dig? Deuces. Hey, Mega, lead us out, big homie.
You